Welcome to The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. Hey, so this is all still happening. Donald Trump is really going to be the next president. And, yeah, you've been reading my journal. For a while, I was poking myself with a straight pen to try to wake up from this. But now I just keep doing it to feel something. It's so real that Trump is now receiving the classified daily intelligence briefing known as The Book, making it the only book he owns that doesn't have his picture on it. And today, the transfer of power began when President Obama hosted Trump at the White House for the most surprising remake of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Didn't see that one. I didn't see that one coming.
At the correspondence dinner.
Can you imagine? Just put yourself in that room, in that private room when they were together. Can you imagine? Awkward. The first African-American president sitting down with a president-elect who was endorsed by the Klan. A guy who spent 5 years, created his political career, demanding Obama prove where he was born, then denying he did it. What did they talk about? What was the tour like? All right, Donald, this is the blue room. Over there is the red room. Down that hall is the office I said you were fundamentally unfit for. Library's downstairs. Now, getting Trump up to speed for the new job might be a challenge because he will be the first U.S. president to have never held any elected office or served in any branch of the military. In fact, Donald Trump is so privileged that the first job he ever had to apply for was President of the United States. Obama, I think it's... Have you watched Obama? Have you heard him yesterday? Have you seen it today?
Yeah.
You got to give it up for the guy. It's amazing. He's being so good. I've never been proud. That must be the most amazing thing he's ever done. He's being so good about the transition that his team even made a special multimedia presentation just for Trump on the relationship between the executive branch and the legislative.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill.
Oh, it's a long, long way. They let him take it home, of course. He's going to need a few repeat viewings to get it all down. They also taught him what a conjunction was.
Function, babe.
Interjection, of course. Gotta breathe every so often.
Gotta take a breath, yeah.
This is all fun, but I gotta take a couple of deep breaths every often, or I'm gonna pass out. Now, Trump wasn't alone. Future First Lady Melania was there for a private meeting with Michelle Obama to ensure the peaceful transition of speeches. And very important. We pride. America.
That's right.
America is the envy of the world in that regard. So those are like the headliners. Those are the people that you know about,
right.
You know, the candidates, the incoming president. But to be honest, my heart sincerely goes out to everyone who works at the Obama White House. I can't imagine how hard this must be. And I don't have to imagine it because there's this picture of the White House staff watching as Obama congratulated Trump yesterday. A picture is worth 1,000 words, none of which I'm allowed to say on CBS. After the meeting, Trump and Obama spoke in front of the press from the Oval Office, where Trump was seated with a bust of MLK looming over his shoulder. Okay, that Obama put that there. When he got in there, the Bush people had, who they had? Churchill. They had a bust of Churchill. When Obama came in, he replaced it with a bust of Martin Luther King. When Trump comes in, he's going to replace that with a bust of the Burger King. President-elect Trump thought the meeting went very well.
This was a meeting that was going to last for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and we were just going to get to know each other. We had never met each other. The meeting lasted for almost an hour and a half.
That's right. It was supposed to be just 10 minutes, but Trump demanded the long form. After the meeting... After the meeting, Press Secretary Josh Earnest went into more detail.
President Obama came away from the meeting with renewed confidence.
I've got to say, his answer does not give me renewed confidence. But we did. But we did get some reassurance from RNC chair and Trump pocket elf Reince Priebus.
Yeah.
Priebus told reporters Donald Trump is taking this very seriously. Well, I gotta say, the fact that Reince Priebus found it necessary to say that out loud gives me renewed confidence. Just like I'd have if I was on a plane, and right before takeoff, the pilot hopped on the intercom and said, "This is your captain speaking. I promise you guys, I'm going to take flying this plane very seriously." And there is proof that Trump is taking it seriously because he has already put up a new transition website with the name greatagain.gov. He's got a .gov. That is one of the most disturbing things I have ever seen on the internet, and I've been on the internet. And greatagain.gov shows just how seriously Trump is taking the new gig, starting with a page that says, "Help Wanted," which is how a lot of people feel right now. And if you yourself out there, if you're looking for work, they're all ready to hire. The site says they need 4,000 presidential appointees, including positions with and without Senate confirmations. They also put up this flyer, "Government wanted, no experience needed, no fatties." And just tear that off. And the website also shows how serious Trump about fulfilling the central campaign promise of his hat. Because there's a form you can fill out to answer the question, how do you want to make America great? Maybe elect someone who already knows how to do that. Just, can I fill that in? Can we, is that
Yeah.
I don't know if we can.
Yeah.
Now, now, when it comes to filling cabinet positions, Trump has cast a wide net, starting with Donald Trump Jr. Hey, Don Sr., if you're trying to tone down the whole dictator thing, maybe don't give a cabinet position to your son, Kim Jong-Trump. It's a little on the nose, okay? And there's more. The leading candidate for Attorney General is Rudy Giuliani. Excuse me, I got something I just need to do here. Excuse me one second. Attention, black people. Attention, black people. Starting January 20th, please build an extra 30 minutes into your daily schedule for the nationwide stop and frisk. And for I don't know how to translate vomiting over a microphone. And guys, it's probably not going to happen because this was just a prop. It's not connected to anything. And for Secretary of State, Trump is considering former Speaker of the House and angry sack of ricotta cheese, Newt Gingrich. That's not bad. I got to say, that one is not bad.
Wow.
I personally could support sending Newt Gingrich out of the country. And for Secretary of Agriculture, Trump is considering Texas's Sid Miller, who caused a firestorm just days ago after his campaign's official Twitter account referred to Hillary Clinton as a C word. Folks, I believe that kind of language has no place in our political discourse, is something I would have said 48 hours ago. Now, for Education Secretary, Insiders are speculating that among those who may be on the short list is creationist surgeon Dr. Ben Carson. So, no, get ready for the new history textbooks I made up about Egypt. But hey, keep it light. Hey, but don't worry, ladies, you're not left out. You'll be represented in Trump's cabinet because his top pick for Interior Secretary is Sarah Palin. Yep. How's that hopey, changey stuff going? Drill, baby, drill. Forget about Yosemite Park, Yosemite Sam. Now Uncle Sam, Sam I am. Don't go bugging, tree-hugging bloggers, because I'm calling the loggers. We're fracking Old Faithful. You're going to be grateful. Executions in sports stadiums. Arrest your enemies. Tie a type right around his neck. What the heck? Shoot him. He's getting away. Tag, trig, trip, knick-knack, paddywhack, tick-tock, out of wedlock. Give your dog a bone. E.T. phone home snow machine. God, she's exhausting. And what? I'm being told the Grand Canyon has committed suicide. It jumped into itself. That's right. Trump's plan to drain the swamp of corruption means bringing back Giuliani, Christie, Gingrich, and Palin. It makes sense. They're exactly what I'd expect to find at the bottom of a drained swamp. Now, if you're one of the small minority of the majority of voters who didn't vote for Trump, just remember, all through the campaign, he assured us that he was going to surround himself with the best and the brightest.
I'm going to get the best people for the job.
I would use the greatest ones. We're going to have the smartest, the best negotiators in the world, and I know most of them, and believe me, I know people you never heard of who are better than the ones that you did hear of.
Oh, good. Oh, good, because the ones I did hear are a pile of garbage. And then, we're not done. Then there's Trump's White House staff. I know I am super excited to find out what role there is for Omarosa. She was Trump's campaign's director of African-American outreach. Oh, newsflash, the Trump campaign was doing African-American outreach. And evidently hiring Omarosa was all of it. Well, on election night, we got a little glimpse of the future when, after hearing that former Republican candidate Lindsey Graham did not vote for Donald Trump, Omarosa told a reporter, "It's so great our enemies are making themselves clear so that when we get into the White House, we know where we stand. I would never judge anybody for exercising their right to the freedom to choose who they want, but let me just tell you, Mr. Trump has a long memory, and we're keeping a list." Wow. An enemies list. They went from 0 to Nixon in no time flat. Now, that's all worth noting. That's worth noting because some people in late night have said one or two things that were critical of Donald Trump. But look, that was just in the heat of the election, right? So surely, if Omarosa did more of a sit-down interview, she wouldn't paint the Trump administration as some vindictive predator savoring its chance to use the office of president for payback.
Every critic, every detractor will have to bow down to President Trump. It's everyone who's ever doubted Donald, whoever disagreed, whoever challenged him. It is the ultimate revenge to become the most powerful man in the universe.
It was Sam B and Seth Meyers. They're the ones who said all those horrible things about you. I was just joking the whole time. All hail our glorious leader. Giant hands. You've got giant hands. You're going to be great. Is what a pussy would say. Wait a second. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Stick around, everybody. We got a great show for you tonight.